Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I tinker with throughout the day. For step-by-step detailed instructions of those tasks, you can click on the links in the comment section below. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. This video also has tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. So, thank you very much for watching. Kicking off the day, headed over to Sebastian, 22 degrees. I do not have my IPD skid plate on, so my temperature is probably going to be running a little cold on oil. I left at 8:23. Let's see how long it takes me to get up to 180 degrees. That's when the engine is at temp and warm enough oil-wise. The coolant's already up to 145. Kick my heat on. Just 2 minutes into my drive. Here hanging out with Sebastian with his R-Type XC90. Was this an 08 or a 10 or what?
9.
09. Got them calipers looking good. Got his prints and moose. Man, look at that interior. Woo-hoo. That blue stitching on there. Is this a real R or fake? Kicked off the tinker morning. Hooked up the slave cylinder. I had to put this needle nose pliers down in here between the slave cylinder and the starter to hold it in place while I put that clip ring on. Now I'm looking for a clamp so I can hook up the line there and go from there. Got the hose connected with a little clamp. Now I'm gonna brush off these cable connectors and hook up the shift cables. I'm gonna put bearings in here. I got these from eBay. I don't like the fact that half of the bearing is open. I'd rather get them sealed on both sides, but they're supposed to be good. I'll let you guys know if we have any issues with them over the years. I like to have them sealed on both sides. I got the skater bearings on. Clips in that side, clip back there. Getting ready to put the clip back there, and I'll be done with the shifter capers out here. Then I'm going to service it. Drain it, fill it up. Gotta unplug that and fill it up through that hole. Take the 2 bolts loose on the side. The cable with the yellow on it goes on the driver's side. Got the P&P wires hooked up. Reverse lights, blue, gray, and blue. Starter circuit, green, red, and green. I'm gonna take this back to Alex. I found out that I also ordered the wrong lower radiator hose. So I'm going to see if I can find one of them today, because this thing is kind of weak, and go from there. Woo woo. What's happening, boys and girls? Guess what I have here? A thermostat housing made out of aluminum. Comes with a seal. Get rid of that plastic thermostat housing in your P1 and P3 Volvos. S40s, S60s, V50s, XC60s. These cars from like 2005, some of them as high as 2016. They use a plastic thermostat housing. They highly discourage you just replacing the thermostat. They want you to replace the whole housing, because the housing sooner or later is going to crack, overheat the car, destroy the engine. Those thermostat housings with the thermostat in them cost anywhere from $100 to $125. For $80, somewhere around there, you can get this aluminum thermostat housing, and this will be the last thermostat housing you have to mount on the car. Take this thing, mount this on the car. From then on, all you got to replace is the thermostat. You get the thermostat from Volvo. Thermostats are $20-25. You can get them from other places as well. However, I strongly encourage people to get the Volvo thermostats. We know they're the right size. We know they work right. I've never seen a Volvo thermostat stuck closed. Some people get these aftermarket thermostats. They're not the right size. They're too big. They jam in the housing. Anyway, aluminum thermostat housing. Get rid of that plastic stuff. This thing, mount it to the engine, plug in your hose, hook up your 2 hoses, and you're good to go. After that, you just replace the thermostat whenever the thermostat starts going bad. Put that thing in there, put your 3 bolts in. Good to go. So, contact Swedish Car Parts, get your order. They may sell thermostats. I'm not 100% sure. I was just extremely surprised to see an aluminum thermostat housing. They shelled out the bucks to get this part made because they're committed to the brand. So there you have it. Thermostat housing, aluminum, S40s, C30s, S60s, V50s, all those P1 and P3 cars. So get it here first. Nice part. Just add your thermostat from now on. Thanks for watching. Knock knock, who's there? Another part to save your butt. This is a coolant reservoir cap. It's got the pressure there. What you want to do is replace the coolant reservoir cap you have. Take these wires over to the temp sensor. You unplug the temp sensor from the harness. You plug this into the temp sensor, plug the harness into here. Now you have a low coolant warning system for your car. We thank Ford for getting rid of that awesome system that Volvo had for many years. Now you can get that back. This is a low coolant level sensor warning system. It is designed to warn you if you run low on coolant. So you blow a hose, your coolant's leaking somewhere, it gets low. You now have no warning. But with this, you'll have a warning. Put this in there, unplug your sensor, plug this in. If your coolant gets low, it will immediately cut your radiator fan on high. And it will give you a warning on the dash saying that your car is overheating. Is your car overheating? Probably not. But this is letting you know that your coolant level is low. I'm sure you may be able to jack around and figure out another way to make it say low coolant instead of overheating. The important thing is, when your coolant level gets low, you need to be warned. I would rather have it tell you that the car is overheating and blast your fan on high than for you actually lose all of your coolant and you actually do overheat the car. Man, if I had it my way, all of these cars would have a low coolant warning system that just said, hey, your car is overheating, instead of it actually overheating and not letting you know until it's too late. If your car is overheated, it's too late. You want to know before it overheats. And one way for that to happen is for you to get a warning when your coolant level is low. Contact Swedish Car Parts. If you don't have a low coolant warning system in your car, get one of these. Probably most of those P1 cars, a lot of those P3 cars, hook this up in your car and have a system that's going to warn you when your coolant level is low. And the good thing about it is you can buy this part, install it, suck most of the coolant out of your reservoir, start the car, and see what happens. You'll get immediate notification that your coolant's low. Then you can add coolant in there. It'll lift this float up and shut that warning system off. You'll be good to go. So as long as your coolant level is this high, you're fine. When your coolant level drops to the low level, you'll get the warning. So you want to get one of these as soon as you can so that you can have a low coolant warning system back in your Volvo. They're available now. Contact Swedish Car Parts. Here I am, folks, getting back at it. Had to go by Swedish Car Parts for the rescue. Missing the hose, ordered the wrong one, and a couple other things. They helped me get a hub out of a knuckle, so I'm about to jump on it, wrap this up, get this thing fired up tonight, hopefully. Saved by FCP. I've been busy doing other things. Ordered these heater hoses overnight. Overnight shipping is cheap with FCP, and they are here in time. No delay. Thank you, FCP. The center console in this car is black trim, so this black trim piece I have will be perfect. I'm going to give it to John to take inside and clean it up, and then we'll just swap this manual one in for his auto one. I have the heater hoses installed. It's best to install them before you install this lower radiator hose. Have the lower radiator hose installed. I'm ready to hook up the cam sensor. I got the crank sensor already plugged in, so I have some of my wiring tied up so that it's pretty much out of the way. I'm hooking this crank sensor wire up like this. I don't know, it's probably not good. Looks like it's pushing a release on that. I'm gonna flip that around. Do 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 do. Don't want nothing eating into my radiator hoses. So I probably should have the crank sensor over here and the cam sensor over here. So let me switch those two. But I did tie up my O2 sensor wires as well. Got the cam sensor here. You see the sensors falling apart as usual. So I'm going to put epoxy on that. Crank sensor there. Got the coolant line tightened up down there. You just want that thing to be smooth. You want your clamp to be even with the hose. Don't want it squeezing it too tight. Got the back hose on. I have all the wires out of the way. And I just put this bracket in down here and put that clamp on that. Next, I'm going to put the intake on and then install the rip kit and get the wires. Actually, I'm going to put the wires on next in the distributor cap. Service the manual transmission. I put fluid in until it came out of the bolt hole. Then I put the bolt in and with a new washer. And I put an extra line in there because the car is up on the tilt from the next to the bottom line. It was up one. Just put a little bit more fluid in. Probably didn't matter that much, but that's what I decided to do. Now I'm going to put the switch back in. I'm going to wipe the switch off. Remember, do not put a washer on that switch or it won't reach the button when it's engaged. I have the turbo inlet tube installed. I have all of the lines on the turbo control valve, the Bruce control solenoid, and they are 4mm going to the wastegate actuator and down to the turbo. And the blow off is a 3mm, and I put 3 going up to the tube. I don't know if that matters that much. So next, I pulled the wires through the length I needed them to. I put that where that wideband sensor plug up there until we get that hooked up. I got these wires lengthened over here, so I'm gonna tuck them down here where I can get at those easy when I need them, if I need them. I'm getting ready to put in the air box and screw this on the air box so that it's in its proper position. And then I'm gonna install the rip kit. Then I'll be ready to put the battery tray down here with the cruise control stuff and plug that stuff in. Vacuum there for the cruise control. Then I'll be ready to deal with the fan. And of course I got the plugs and wires on. I I got the NA throttle body cable on. I adjusted it until I seen the plate quit moving. I need to get some intake throttle body cleaner and clean that out real good. I got that wired around properly. In the future, I'm going to get some brake booster hose line, because this brake booster, that hose did not want to go back on there. I don't know if it was all the way up on there before or not, but it's partially on there. It's a vacuum, so you know it shouldn't blow off. But man, that thing does not want to go on. This thing needs to be replaced probably on every car, so I gotta start planning on that in the future. Press the new bushing in there. That thing is showing some cracking, so I'm gonna see if I still have one of those. If I do, I'm gonna replace that. Use my press to press this in here. This is the brand that I use to press those in there, and as you can see, it's probably the right depth on both sides. And that arrow right there is pointing up to that dot on the bracket. I don't know if you guys remember, but this hub fell apart, so I'm gonna go ahead and put Henrietta on that job, knock those E14s off, and get this thing replaced. I took this hub out of the knuckle and I pressed it back together, tapped it in. Didn't feel that bad, but as I turned it, it works its way out and comes right apart. So we got to replace that. This is the hub I'm going to use to replace this thing with. It was hard coming out of that knuckle over there, but it feels great, nice and quiet, a lot better than the one that came apart. The rotor came off the hub really easy. Pulled that pin out. So let me go ahead and put this thing in here. I cleaned this stuff off, brushed off some of the rust, brushed off the rust in there, and put some brake slide lubrication grease in it. Don't think P80 hubs are supposed to do that. The hose on the bottom of the coolant bottle, the alignment mark is about 1/2 off. The thickness of that line, because when I hold the bottle up by the hose, it should be aligned to fall right on the deal. Other than that, it's got a little stress on it. So I moved it over just a little bit, but if you're holding the bottle up by the hose, it should be aligned to fall on that clamp. So manufacturing, man, quality control. I am going to call it a night. I got the coolant reservoir in, that hose connected, the hose under it connected, the sensor plugged in. I'm not sure if I take that off. I guess I got to take that off to put the timing belt cover on after we verify that there's no leaks in there. I got this hose on the bottom of the reservoir, got the exhaust attached to the turbo. Of course, we hooked up the heater hoses earlier. Got the PCV stuff hooked up. I got the serpentine belt tensioner on. I got the new upper radiator hose on. Got the fuel lines connected. Got the fuel line bracket on. Got the fuel line secure on the back of the engine. So we are trucking along. Man, still got some work to do. So I will come back in the morning. Happy New Year, everybody. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.